Ang kulit niyo ikaw ah. Paborito ka ni Daddy.
Ma, insumi ni Papa oh.
Miss ka na namin, Papa. Ang kulit niyo ikaw ah. Paborito ka ni Daddy.
Ma, insumi ni Papa oh.
Miss ka na namin, Papa.
And we are live! Hope everyone's having a great night. As always, Attorney JD, welcome to Life Matters. I'm Ren Agawa. How are you, JD?
I'm good, Ren. Good evening. So first off, we have been asked by one of our colleagues, by Rafi Abulok, who just celebrated his birthday. Happy birthday!
Grabe yun agad.
So
Ang
we have
bilis
been
ng-
asked by
ang bilis ng segue
Rafi.
mo.
So why does Saint Peter daw produce a
Aha.
show like Life Matters?
Si Bay
So
talaga
I told-
nagtanong yan,
Oh, siya talaga yung nagtanong yan, promise. So we would like to inform him by and our other viewers that Life Matters is St. Peter's way of providing public service to our viewers who may be
Yes.
our plan holders or customers for them to know and discuss ways on how to live their life to the fullest because life matters despite the nature of our industry. So that's the explanation for that.
Totally agree, Attorney. Though alam mo naman, though we push ourselves to be death care experts, we really try our best to be death care experts. We are all in as far as sharing to you guys stuffs that we think matters in life. Kaya life matters yung
Yes.
yung title. By the way, Attorney, nakita mo na ba yung Bloody Moon ngayon? Di ba yun ang palaging binabalita ngayon, di ba? Bloody
Yung
Moon
alin?
ngayon. Bloody Moon tonight.
Ah, yeah, somebody shared
You're
it to me.
supposed to see the moon like really big and really red. Nakita mo na ba? Hindi pa.
Not yet, we're in the show. Maybe.
Oo nga ba? Kung hindi mo pa nakikita yung Bloody Moon, ito na lang ang pagtsagaan mo. Oh. Happy birthday, bye! Yan.
Happy birthday!
At bukod sa birthday celebration ni Mr. Rafi Abulok, in advance, we also want to greet the GOAT! He's going to celebrate his
Happy
birthday.
birthday!
Kailan ba? On the 30th? Ata.
On the 30th, happy birthday to my boss, Attorney Carlos. Happy birthday, sir.
All right. Now, let's jump into tonight's topic. Okay, baka kumaba yung oras natin. Alam mo ba, JD, no? May, the month of May is actually Cervical Cancer Prevention Awareness Month. No?
Oh.
And alam mo, Attorney, I'm really interested sa topic natin tonight. No? Oh, of course, because of my wife, and I live with my mom, and also because I got a daughter. No? So it's something that I really want to be oriented of, rather. And I'm really interested sa mapag-uusapan natin tonight. So, without further ado, Ryan, here's our guest for tonight.
Nanay, lola, misis, tita, ate, hipag, iha, sis, Mars. Kahit sino o ano ka pa, lahat ng babae ay at risk sa cervical cancer. Kaya sasamahan tayo ni Dr. Cookie Ongoko, active consultant, obstetrician, and gynecologist at Dr. Jesus C. Delgado Memorial Hospital to learn the ABCs of it. Ngayong Cervical Cancer Prevention Awareness Month. Dito sa Life Matters. #End Cervical Cancer.
Hi, Doc!
Hi, Doc.
Hi, good evening. Doc Cookie. Okay. How are you, Doc?
I'm good. How are you? How
Oo,
are you?
sana. Nakapag-dinner ka na ba, ma'am?
Ha? Mamaya na.
Mamaya na, oo. And sabi ko nga, bago nagsimula ang show natin, ang pinaka-importanting tanong, ma'am, ano ang huling Netflix series na tinapos mo? Tinapos, ha? Hindi ongoing, ha?
Tinapos? Ano nga ba yung huli
Nako.
kong napanood? Yung Who Killed Sarah.
Ay!
Oh.
Ongoing pa lang ako, ma'am. Sorry, ha? Hindi ko
Tapos ko na yung season.
Oh, ang maganda sa mga Spanish na series, maiksi lang, ma'am, no? Mga
Oo.
episodes
Mga 30
lang.
to 40 minutes lang sila.
Oo, hindi katulad ng, now I know kung bakit hindi ka nagko-Korean novela. Kasi 16 episodes and an hour and a half, no? So it takes a lot of your time.
Saka ayoko rin ng mga nagbabasa eh.
Oh,
Natatoxic ako. hindi ako nakaka-concentrate dun sa scene kasi nagbabasa. Ayoko nung may mga may mga
Oo.
caption.
Gusto mo yung tipong kahit inaanto ka na, kahit pa paano naririnig mo, no? Teka, pinag mo yung Who Killed Sarah, Kastila yun.
Hindi, basta meron siyang translation.
Ah.
There's some may dubbing na in English. Like yung K-drama na Move to Heaven. May English dubbing.
Oh yeah, I heard maganda raw yun
It's nice.
I actually told Sir Jason kasi it's more or less related sa industry natin, right, attorney?
You should watch it. Very
Yeah.
nice.
Yun na yung talk natin, ma'am. That ends our episode for tonight. Ma'am, alam mo, kidding aside, ma'am, bago tayo magpatuloy, tulad ng sinasabi namin sa mga frontliners na nagiging guest namin, ma'am, we are really grateful for your efforts. Sabi namin palagi, you are heroes, and our prayers are always with you, with your family, for your safety, and of course, for the safety of your families, no?
Thank you.
You guys are the best, no? Yeah. So, jump na tayo sa topic natin tonight, ma'am. Okay. So, first things first. First question. In general, ma'am, how does cancer ba really take a toll on someone's health? And is it something more that's acquired, or is it something that you get because of your lifestyle?
Okay, sige, let me start first I just want to say na yun nga, because this May is the Cervical Cancer Awareness Month. I want to tell people that cervical cancer is actually the second leading cause of death among women here in the Philippines.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and it is caused, yun nga, since it's cancer, it could also lead to death. Tsaka debilitating din yung mga ganyan. So if we talk more about it later, well, just to give you a small thing about cervical cancer. Aside from it being a cancer, kami when I was in training, at saka nakakaano siya kasi once you smell the smell, once you really experience the smell of cervical cancer, hindi mo siya talaga makakalimutan. There's a distinct smell talagang
Compared to the others, compared to
Yes,
other cancers.
yes.
Yeah. JD?
So, what is cervical cancer ba, Doc Cookie? Parang, what is it?
Okay, ang cervical cancer kasi, it's actually it's a form of cancer in a woman's one of the reproductive organs of the woman, which we call the cervix. The cervix is actually the junction between the vagina and the uterus. So para siyang nagko-connect. In Tagalog, kapag nagpapatingin ka ang mga noon magpapatingin ng matatanda sa mga matatanda din na mga doktor, sasabihin nila yun yung kwelyo ng matres. Okay. Yung cervix is yun yung parang kwelyo ng matres. Yun yung nagko-connect talaga ng vagina to the uterus. Okay, and it's a form of cancer that is caused by a virus known as human papilloma virus. So ito nga, sorry.
Go ahead, ma'am.
Since it's a form of cancer, it could be debilitating and it could lead to death.
Ma'am, pagdating ba sa cervical cancer, ano ba yung symptoms as far as cervical cancer is concerned?
Okay, ang problem kasi ngayon, we normally get cervical cancer at a later stage na. Kasi yung iba, hindi talaga minsan napapansin. Kasi normally, women can have, vaginal discharge. Yung iba, hindi sila nababado with the vaginal discharge. Or sometimes, bleeding. Okay, those are mga common symptoms ng cervical cancer. Another one is bleeding after contact. Yung iba, hindi masyado napapother about it. Okay, iniisip nila, nagasgas lang or something or ganyan. And as for any form of cancer, one of the symptoms of that is weight loss of appetite. Others can have back pains. Kaya lang kasi yung medyo vague symptoms kasi maraming sakit na pwedeng mag-cause ng back pain. As simple as UTI can cause back pain. As simple as UTI can give you vaginal bleeding or vaginal discharge. Kaya yung iba na ano nila hindi nila masyadong minamind. That's why sometimes when we get the cancer, it's already in a later stage.
So what you're saying, ma'am, is kahit na you're living a lifestyle na healthy naman, ah ah, hindi mo basta-basta malalaman na meron kang cervical cancer dahil sa sinasabi mo sa dulo mo na siya nakikita, ganun ba, ma'am?
Actually, pwede. If a woman is very keen about her, kasi part of the women's health is to have a regular checkup with your gynecologist. Napaka-simple. Actually, there are very simple screening tools that can be done to detect early signs of cervical cancer, such as pap smear.
Mhm.
Diba? Yun na nakakalimutan yan ng mga babae that you especially nasa reproductive age group, that's part of the screening for cervical cancer, yung pap smear.
Mhm.
So it's not enough, ma'am, na you're doing your regular exercise or you have a healthy diet. Dapat kasama talaga yan sa routine ng isang babae.
Yes. Oo. At saka, meron kasi, even if you are living a healthy lifestyle, let's say you're a gym buff, you can exercise, you eat healthy, but there are certain practices that makes you at risk of getting cervical cancer. So ano yun? One is if you have multiple sexual partner. Okay? Second is if you have an early age of sexual maturation or early age of sex. Third is if you have long use or prolonged use of OCPs, yung mga pills. And then another risk factor is if you give birth 3 or more times. So yun yung mga possibility kasi din na, I mean, it puts you at risk. But mainly, cervical cancer talaga is caused by HPV. And you get HPV through sexual contact.
Mamaya, ma'am, babalikan natin yung HPV. We really want to discuss that in detail. But I think JD has another question here.
So going back to what you said, Doc Cookie, earlier, that cervical cancer is the second topmost reason or risk factor for women in the Philippines. So what is the reason why it's number 2 in the list of risk factors for women in the Philippines? Bakit po kaya ganon?
Well, I guess it's because nga, even though ang ating healthcare system naman are really pushing para sa screening ng cervical cancer, most of the women siguro, they really don't, they do not prioritize it. Kasi hindi naman nila nakikita di ba? Unlike yung mga, like sa breast cancer, pag nakapamo na may bukol ka, you automatically, nagpapanik ka, you automatically go to a doctor to have it checked. Pero sa mga babae kasi, not everybody have. I think maybe that's the reason why some women, they take it for granted.
If you would be comparing, go ahead, Jane.
Just a follow-up question lang, Doc Cookie. From the data that you know of this risk factor, what is the main data point? Is it age? Is it women in urban areas? What are the additional, let's say, reasons or elements by which it's more risky for women in the Philippines of having cervical cancer? Parang,
I think it's dun sa kasi, wala silang talaga, but it's more of the reproductive age group eh. Kasi yun naman yung mas mas nag-engage into sexual contact, diba? Bihira naman talaga yung nagkaka-cancer din na nasa around, nasa 60s na eh. Kasi usually yung mga yan, di ba, nagle-lessen na yung, di ba, lessen na yung sexual contact or the ones na mga early, unless na during her younger years, nagkaroon siya ng episodes of yung mga CIN or yung mga dysplasia. So yung mga older, pwede pa rin magkaroon ng cervical cancer. Tsaka I think it's sexual practices na rin ngayon. Medyo ang mga Filipino women are hindi na kamukha yung mga dating mga Maria Clara type. Mas na tayo, created na tayo ngayon.
May term ka kanina, may term kang ginamit, Doktore, sexually liberated.
Yes.
I think that is very...
Yes,
Ma'am,
medyo.
Oo.
yeah, Doc, if you would be comparing, if you would be comparing the situation of cervical cancer dito sa atin sa Pilipinas with other countries, no? How are we? Are we that far off, or are we at the same boat as compared to other countries, advanced countries for that matter?
Well, I think I would say na although common pa rin sa atin kasi nga it's the second leading cause. Pero feeling ko more of sa other countries kasi nga mas sila at least tayo kasi pa tayo sa mga younger age groups natin lalo na mga parents, di ba? Medyo strict pa tayo, hindi ka mukha sa. Well, I think depende naman kasi sa culture. Meron kasing mga culture na sa kanila at a certain age, you can go out with your boyfriend or your girlfriends already. Mas pa rin tayo, even if that we are already parang reaching yung sexual yung liberation in terms of pa din tayo. Parang feeling ko mas strict pa din tayo in terms of our pa din.
How about ma'am? How about awareness that you are at risk if you have this kind of lifestyle? How about that factor, ma'am? How far are we, more or less, as
I
compared
think
to the
naman
others?
in fairness to DOH and in fairness to our healthcare system, we are doing our very best to inform everyone, not just of the cervical cancer but of different health concerns. In fairness naman to our I think
Kasi
everybody's trying to do
I was surprised when you said that it's the number 2, no, as far as ranking is concerned, di ba? So it's a bit bothersome na ito yung pangalawang pumapatay sa mga kababaihan, di ba? Oo. Yeah.
So, Doc, just a follow-up question before we take a break. Going into stereotypes, kasi before the show, I have this notion na this disease is really associated with a certain profession. So, those in the flesh trade. Kasi nga, multiple partners. I mean, not to beat around the bush about it, right? So, that's why it has like a kind of bad reputation. So, sometimes people are ashamed to say that they have this disease because they're associated with a certain kind of profession. So, is that really true, or is there basis to that?
No, not really naman yung mga, you were talking about the sexual commercial workers, diba? Sex commercial, what do you call that? Commercial sex workers. Okay, it's not actually just them. Even professionals can get cervical cancer. Kasi nga, it's your practices, it's your sexual practices. We can be doctors, we can be lawyers, we can be professionals, but if we engage on one, unprotected sex, with multiple sexual partner, promiscuity, we can still have cervical cancer even if we are not commercial sex workers.
So in the end, it's really about somebody's lifestyle, no? Sexual lifestyle.
Yes.
As far as percentage is concerned, ma'am, I was asking kanina the proportion of those who get cervical cancer because they're sexually active to those who are not. Gaano kalayo, ma'am?
Well, if you're not engaging in sexual contact, yung risk mo of having cervical cancer is very low.
Very low, no? Is something around the 90 something
Yes,
percent?
in fact, if you're not engaging in sexual contact also, it's really, really very rare to get cervical cancer. Okay? Maybe you can still get cancer pero hindi cervical. Pwedeng endometrial, pwedeng uterine cancer. In terms of if we're talking about women, na not having sexual contact at all, they can they can be probably safe from not having cervical cancer, but they're not safe from having endometrial cancer or uterine cancer.
All right. Ma'am, alam mo, gusto namin balikan yung HPV kanina. It's something that we always hear, but obviously not a lot of us understand. No? Pero babalikan natin yung tanong na yan when we come back after this short break. Babalik ang Life Matters.
Parang kailan lang, nung nag-aaral pa ako, lagi kang nasa tabi ko. Kahit napagod ka, pipilitin mo pa rin akong tulungan, kahit abutin tayo ng umaga. Natuto ako sa mga aral na paulit-ulit yung sinasabi at pinapaalala. Kahit minsan, nakakasawa. Pero ma, pa, tama pala kayo. Kaya kong tumayo sa sarili kong mga paa. Matapang na harapin ang mga pagsubok sa buhay. Nang dahil sa paggabay niyo. Alam ko, lagi niyo pa rin akong binabantayan. Ma, pa, salamat sa lahat.
And we are back! Kami pa rin tatlo. Welcome back to Life Matters. Doktora, a while ago I was asking about HPV. We often hear this in its relationship to cervical cancer. No? So, ma'am, what is HPV ba talaga and what does it has to do with cervical cancer, ma'am?
Okay, ang HPV, by the term HPV, it's an abbreviation of human papillomavirus. Okay, it's a double-stranded DNA na nagre-replicate siya inside the cell, the epithelial cells of the cervix. Parang COVID. Ang COVID is our RNA. So ang HPV naman, it's a DNA. So there is actually more than I think 140 strains of HPV. Pero only about 40 or something are the ones that causing disease for both men and women.
And this is the one really that's causing yung the cancer.
Yes, mostly cervical cancer is mostly caused by HPV 16 and 18. And the same virus also, na HPV, I think it's 6 and 11 naman, it's the one that causes genital warts. Okay, yung warts na nakikita natin sa vagina, sa penis, it's also caused by HPV.
Ma'am, pagdating sa virus na to, how does it exactly develop? I mean, nagsisimula ba siya sa lalaki or nagsisimula ba siya sa babae or kailangan ba magkasama sila for the virus to be para magkaroon, ma-develop yung virus?
No, actually, it's transmitted through it's transmitted through sexual contact.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, the transmittal, of course, is through sexual contact, ma'am.
Yes.
Pero
even
saan
when
siya
you-
nagsisimula? Oftentimes ba, nagsisimula siya sa lalaki? Ganun ba ang nangyayari, ma'am? Or maaaring magsimula rin siya sa babae?
Kung if the man is not yet exposed to the virus, pwedeng sa babae niya nakuha. And it's the other way around. So parang chicken and egg, we don't really know kung saan siya.
I see. Okay.
But it's a virus, so
What's important is for us to know that it is really through sexual contact that it is transmitted. I see. Okay.
So,
so
Doc,
sorry.
sige, okay lang, Doc. Go ahead.
Hindi, I was
Go ahead.
just going to talk about the risk, yung mga risk factors eh.
Mm-mm.
Yeah,
So-
go ahead, ma'am.
Okay.
Yun nga, yung kamukha ng nasabi ko kanina, if you have multiple sexual partners, early age of sexual contact, prolonged use of OCPs, at saka yung giving birth of more than 3 times, it puts you at risk of getting of
Paano
contracting.
pala yung mga ma'am, yung mga lola natin dati, 'di ba? Ang isang family mahina ang 5 anak, 'di ba?
Ako nga.
'Di ba? Ang panuntunan nun the more,
Kung
the
anak,
merrier. Oo. Diba? Paano kaya ang mga lola natin, yung awareness nila, no? Diba?
yeah, or I guess during the olden times hindi masyadong more of
Oo, no?
mas loyal ang mga tao.
Yes. Oo.
Diba?
This is going back to what you've been reiterating, that it's really about you having multiple partners,
Yeah.
no? Oo. You were saying kanina, Doctor, it's like 95 or 97% of the cases really is because of somebody in the relationship has multiple partners,
Yes.
no?
Bihira,
So,
I
ibig
think
sabihin,
really
oo.
very rare to get cervical cancer if you did not have any sexual contact.
Oo. Alam mo, Doktora, it's really important that na naririnig tayo ng audience ngayon. It's because sabi mo nga yung sexual liberation, di ba? It's something that's not often discussed, di ba? But it happens, di ba? It's in the society, and it's something that's slowly being embraced
Yes.
by a
And I
lot of
think
people.
sa sa education system natin, diba? I think there's
Yeah.
really integrating sex education already.
Oo,
Although
oo.
siguro others are medyo umaalma about the sexual education, but I think it's
Yeah.
it's about time that
Oo nga.
the people know about it eh. Kasi
Yes.
doon tayo nagkakaproblema even for the teenage pregnancies eh,
Mhm.
because they're not aware.
Oo.
So once they engage in sexual contact, it's either they get pregnant early or they contract infections.
Mhm. It's something that we really have to deal with, no?
Yes.
It's kesa you just ignore it, but you know that it's happening, di ba? You might as well address it talaga, mama, no?
Yes.
Go ahead, JD.
So, ngayon, women are slowly, not just older women, even mga teens, because I get patients na mga 18, 19 na
Yeah.
nagpapacheck ako.
Mm-mm.
Oo.
So, Doc, you were discussing earlier the risk factors, and I suppose engaging in sexual relationship is a reality, diba? So, what are the ways ba to prevent cervical cancer apart from having routine pap smear for women, and how young can they get routine pap smear?
Just stick with one. That's the best one.
yung kasi, we have two types of prevention. One is primary and the other one secondary. Yung pap smear together with HPV testing, those are the secondary Pap smear yan? Pap smear plus DNA testing, it's called co-testing. Okay? And that is a secondary form of prevention which you do starting when a woman turns 21. You should do that every 3 years. Pagka-combine yung co-testing. Tapos beyond 29 years old, around 30 to 65, that's co-testing. Co-testing meaning pap smear plus HPV testing every 5 years. But if you cannot do, kasi yung HPV testing medyo mahal eh. So if you cannot do HPV testing, you can do pa rin pap smear every 3 years. And the primary prevention naman, yung isa naman na types of prevention is the primary prevention in which we give vaccines. So ngayon there are before kasi meron lang two types of vaccine, the bivalent and the quadrivalent. Ngayon meron na tayo monovalent which covers about 9 strains of HPV.
Okay.
So if you
So
get
do you-
that, mas nagiging safe ka from contracting HPV infection, at the same time progressing to cervical cancer.
If you've had the shot na ba before, Doc, can you still get a new shot? Parang how long does it last? Let's see. Yung
Parang,
vaccine.
parang tanong na pang COVID yan kung nakakuha ka na ng Sinovac ngayon, pwede ba ako kumuha ng Moderna after 3 months? Ganun ba yun?
The first anti-cervical cancer vaccine kasi that was introduced here in the Philippines is the bivalent, meaning dalawang strains lang, okay? So nung lumabas yung quadrivalent, which is 4 strains siya, it covers also genital warts. Okay, so pero ngayon non-valent, pwede pa din nine strains if you want to get the ano pa rin. Still kasi nga as I said, yung HPV has many variants. It's around 140 but only about 40 plus can cause infection, 'di ba? Eh what if the HPV virus that you contracted is hindi nako-cover nung dalawa or nung apat or nung siyam, you can still get the infection.
Yes.
So parang it's like the flu vaccine pala na parang you get it every year kasi there may
Ang
be
naman hindi.
variants.
Ang HPV naman, it's not like flu na yearly. You get you get that for 3 shots. If you get dun sa bivalent, ang scheduling niya is 016. Meaning if you get the first shot today, the second shot will be after a month, and then the last shot would be after 6 months from the first dose. But if you want to get naman the quadrivalent and the nonavalent naman, it's 026. So you take the vaccine now, the second dose will be after 2 months, and then the other one is 6 months after the first shot. So as of now, ang sa studies nila, hindi pa sinasabi if we are to get booster shots mga after 10 years. Wala pang sinasabi. Pero so far, if you get the 3 shots, medyo covered ka na.
By the way, guys, sa audience, sa mga audience natin tonight, as always, we want the show to be as interactive as possible. So kung may mga tanong kayo, ilagay niyo lang sa comment section, no? Hindi ko alam kung saan yung comment section, basta lumalabas na lang dyan. So, meron tayong tanong, ma'am, from Miss. So, hindi ko mabasa ng tama yung kanyang first name. Doon na lang tayo sa Peña Fuerte. So, she's asking, are there signs to know if you have HPV?
Yes.
Already?
Depende which HPV eh. So one yun nga, if you get the genital warts, definitely you will see parang parang warts on the genital area. So yung iba naman, you can experience vaginal discharge or bleeding. Tapos if you do the screening, makikita kung meron kang neoplasia or dysplasia, that's the time that you know. But the testing na baka yung isang sinasabi niya is the HPV testing, which you can get together with it's a blood test, kaya lang medyo mahal kasi yung HPV testing natin. Yung unlike the pap smear, lang yan, mura lang siya, kaya-kaya ng general population actually. But the HPV testing kaya siguro hindi siya lagi napapagawa ng lahat kasi it's a bit on the you have to shell out a little more.
How a little more na yun, ma'am? I mean,
Kasi
for our audience to have an idea, di ba, ma'am? Go ahead.
Price, hindi ako masyadong about the price, but
Arrange.
You can get it, let's say na you can have it done na lang on the bigger hospitals like St. Luke's. So yun na lang yung basis natin. So kung halimbawa dun sa bigger hospitals, so alam na natin na medyo
pricey.
It's pricey because otherwise it's not pricey. Kahit siguro small hospitals will carry it.
So parang that's your price of for getting it, no? So guys, those are watching, be good.
Naman every year, diba? Every 3 years lang naman eh. So
just the same. You just said it's pricey.
So Doc, another question.
Ryan, can you flash it again? The question, Ryan.
I will read out the question. So one of our regional managers, CRM MJ Havillana, who wants to also give a shout out to her Olongapo and Balanga sales team.
Ma'am.
So she has a question. At what age daw is it recommended to have the anti-cervical cancer vaccine?
Okay, so by the indication dong sa sa literature nila, as early as 9 years old, it could be given. It could be given to both boys and girls. Actually, mas magandang ibigay. Actually, mas maganda kasi siyang ibigay kapag wala pang sexual encounter. wala ka pang sexual encounter, that's the best time to give. That's why siguro, abroad, they give it at as early as 9 years old. Kasi nga, mas maaga yung sexual, nila, maturity.
Regardless if it's a boy or a girl.
Yes, correct. As I said, kasi nga, the HPV virus is also the same virus that causes penile cancer.
Yes.
Magkaiba lang
And as you've mentioned, sabi mo nga, we really don't know kung saan siya nagsisimula, no? What we know is that it's transmitted through sex, di ba? That's why you might as well have your children vaccinated at 9. Parang ganun, ma'am.
Tsaka you have to boost your immune system also. Kasi it's a virus.
It's a virus, yes.
When it's a virus, it's actually self-limiting. So,
Come again, ma'am? Sorry?
It's self-limiting. Viruses are
Yes,
self-limiting, di ba?
yeah.
If you have a very
Yes.
good immune system, pwede mo siyang ma-ward off it. That's why other people or other women, they don't even know that at one point in their lives, they contracted the HPV virus.
Okay.
Without even knowing. Kasi nga,
Because yung kanyang immune system is better as compared to the others.
yes, but if it persists, if the virus infection persists, that's the time that it becomes cancer.
It's the same thing with Doc, no? It's the same thing with COVID, Some people they don't know na may COVID na
Yes.
sila. It's because of their immune system.
Yes.
Parang ganun.
Kasi actually,
Sorry, ma'am, your audio.
hello? There.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
you're good.
Diba? Just like COVID, diba? People who get who gets COVID or who contracts COVID, yung iba naman dyan ang they expire or namamatay sila not just because of the virus but because they have a poor immune system.
Yes.
Diba nagkakaroon sila ng pneumonia.
Yeah.
That's why people who have comorbids, diabetic, may sakit sa puso, everyone, since mababa immune system nila, mas madali nilang nakocontract yung disease.
Ikaw ba, ma'am, tapos na yung shots mo, ma'am? COVID shots mo?
Yes. Yes,
That's great to know.
thankfully.
That's really great to know. Ma'am, Rona has a question here. Rona Gyanchan. If you miss a vaccine shot, uulit ba ulit sa first shot?
Okay. That's a very good question. No? Ideally, you have to get the shots on the schedule. Pero technically, ideally, if the schedule is either 016 or 026. But if you are not able to follow the schedule, at least within the year, dapat makomplete mo siya.
Another question. JD, go ahead.
Okay, from Miss Ann Del Rosario Dorado, is there a test that we can take to know if we are prone to cervical cancer?
Kung prone kasi, it's like a risk factor. Pero yung test that you could do to check for the early signs of cervical cancer, it's as simple as pap smear. Ganun lang, it's very simple na pap smear lang. You could a pap smear can detect early signs of cancer and infection.
Dr. if you have cervical cancer already, oftentimes, ano ba ang nagiging course of action? Is it surgery or treatment ba? Ano ba ang kadalasan na pinipili or inire-recommend ng isang doktor na?
Well, the treatment for cervical cancer is based on the staging. So, depende siya sa stage. It's too technical to talk about the staging na kung which one is stage 1, 2, and 3. Pero, up to stage 2, pwede pa siya ng surgery. But on a more advanced staging, it's more of chemoradiation.
Okay.
When you say surgery, ma'am, yung chances of kasi tinanggal mo na talaga when you say surgery. Okay.
Pag surgery, you do hysterectomy. Tinatanggal mo.
Yes.
Tinatanggal
So the
mo.
chances of the cancer cells pupunta sa iba is really low na. Is that what you're saying? Hindi siya when you compare it to other cancers like breast cancer to be exact, no. Minsan 'di ba ma'am, tinatanggal na yung isang breast but the next thing you know is nandun na pala sa kabila. Is it the same thing sa cervical cancer?
Pwede rin kasi ang cervical cancer can cause metastasis din. Kasi pagka nag-metastasize na yan, that is already in the advanced stage.
Okay.
Kaya it's
So
better.
there's really no guarantee, no? Even if you undergo surgery. Yeah.
Kaya it's better
So-
na to get it on an early stage.
On an early stage. Yes.
Doc Cookie, on my question, because if you have surgery, of course, hysterectomy, that will really affect your ability to have kids, right? I mean, that's already out of the table. But if ever that your treatment doesn't require you to do hysterectomy, you still have your cervix. Is there an effect of the treatment to the kids that you will have in the future? Will there be any abnormalities or something?
Well, I don't think naman na if are you asking if it's hereditary? Let's say yung treatment natin is yung treatment kasi it's not necessarily always taking out the whole thing. Not necessarily taking out the uterus. Meron kasi tinatawag na radical trachelectomy wherein the cervix itself lang. The cervix itself lang ang tatanggalin mo. So kung tinanggal mo yon, pwede pa rin naman, the woman can still get pregnant. Kaya lang, syempre, meron ding risk factor of, kasi wala yung cervix, that will, meron pa rin risk factor na baka you might lose the pregnancy or ganun, no? But in terms of if you're saying if it's hereditary, yung cancer cells kasi hindi naman siya, unlike nga yung breast cancer, that if you get the genes, pwede ka talagang it's more of it's more of the practices pa din. But still, with the screening nowadays, yun nga, if you have the HPV testing, pwede at least malalaman mo if you have the HPV DNA.
I guess, Doc Cookie, what I mean is that, let's say you've had the cervical cancer and you underwent radiation or chemotherapy, and then later on, kasi you still have your cervix and everything, you can still get pregnant, right? So I suppose my question is, if ever, is there an effect to the baby that you will have? Will they have like abnormalities like autism or something like that because you've had chemotherapy or radiation?
No naman, not unless you've done the chemotherapy while you are pregnant. Kasi pwedeng ganun.
Okay.
Pwedeng you were diagnosed with cervical cancer while being pregnant. Okay? So while you're pregnant, kaya nga ang treatment naman doon, it's different din. Okay? If let's say you were diagnosed with cervical cancer at the earlier stage of pregnancy, most probably baka you will lose the pregnancy. Okay? But you were diagnosed of cervical cancer at the later stage of pregnancy, let's say nasa second or third trimester of pregnancy ka na, pwede kasing i-delay yung treatment eh. Kasi definitely if you go into chemo, you cannot remove the uterus if there's a baby inside, diba? And
Yes.
if you're going to do radiation therapy while there's a baby inside, definitely may effect yun sa kasi may radiation
Sa baby, yes.
sa baby. That's why kung nasa second or third trimester na yung mommy, we can opt to delay the treatment after delivery. Pero kung nasa first pa lang, if you are diagnosed pa lang sa first trimester of pregnancy, usually medyo na yan, although yung syempre nasa pa rin, nasa patient's choice pa rin yan. But you have to tell the patient that if you go on with the pregnancy without treatment, the probability or the possibility of the cancer progressing to an advanced stage is there. So, yun yung...
So what you're saying pala, doktora, no? Even if you have cancer already, I mean, cervical cancer already, pwede pa rin pala talaga na magtuloy yung pregnancy, no?
Yes, pwede. If
Hindi mo lang alam na meron kang...
Yes, kung na-diagnose ka lang na meron kang cancer, mga second or third trimester, pwede nang magtuloy. Pero if you were diagnosed at the first trimester, ang haba kasi 9 months. There are a lot of things that could happen in 9 months. Whereas
Tsaka-
in 3 months to wait, pwede na.
At saka as you've mentioned, Doktora, no, yung symptoms, yung signs minsan, napaka-common. No?
Yes.
So, hindi mo iisipin na you have it already na pala unless you get tested. Kaya magtutuloy yung pregnancy. No? So, sa mga listeners natin, it's really good that we're discussing it right now. No? Kasi it shows how sensitive this topic is, this issue is, and people really have to be aware of cervical cancer. We have a question here. I think na nasagot mo kanina to, Doktor. Is cervical vaccine applicable for men as protection against HPV? And the answer is
Yes.
isang tumataging-ting na yes. Bigyan ng jacket yan! Alam mo ba yun, Doktora, pag sinabing bigyan ng jacket?
Kaya really? Kay William.
Akala ko puro The Crown lang ang pinapanood mo eh. At least na may kilala mo pa rin pala si Kuya Willie. Nagpapa-shoutout pala si Sir Charlie Jorge, ang ating territory head ng Mimaropa. We got another question here. JD, go ahead.
So, Miss Jenny Maneja has a question, Doc Cookie. Does having cervical cancer vaccine eliminate the possibility of having it? As in, you can have peace of mind if you've had the vaccine?
Actually, yung the most common type of HPV that causes cervical cancer, HPV 16 and 18. And the available vaccines nowadays, they cover that, 16, 18. Kaya lang nga, yung HPV has a lot of types, or a lot of types that causes infection. So, napaka-swerte mo na lang kung yung type of HPV infection na napunta sa iyo is
Hindi pa covered
nitong mga available vaccines. Pero so far naman, those are the most common na causes, strains and types that causes the cervical cancer. Nako-cover siya ng mga vaccines available natin.
Sa mga viewers natin, what we're saying here is you get vaccinated for you to be protected. No? It's not encouraging you to get multiple. It's just what we're saying here is for your health.
Yes.
Baka akalain nyo, may plano ko. Planning to have like 50 partners.
Only covers HPV virus.
Yes.
If the vaccine does not protect you from having other sexually transmitted disease like gonorrhea, chlamydia. Okay, so that does not protect you. It only protects you from having the cancer, but the STDs hindi.
Nako, familiar sa akin itong nagsasalita dito. Ito, papangalanan natin, Doktora. Kailangan ko talagang sabihin ang pangalan niya. Si Vincent Paul Lominoque. Alam mo, yung tao na yan ang certified lover boy namin sa office. And it's really strange. It's really strange for him to say na importante talaga ang loyalty. So your message is really good. Your message is really welcome, but I really doubt if it came from you. Kidding aside, that's really true. No, the vaccines out there it's out there to protect you, but doesn't give you the license to do the things that you are planning to do. No?
So, Doc Cookie, question: if you've had your shot, let's say 11 years ago, for anti-cervical cancer, and you said there's a new one that came out that addresses the other strains, can you have that shot na, let's say, this year?
Yes.
Does it affect the fact that you've had your COVID shot? Kasi diba minsan they ask you,
okay. If you get a COVID shot today, you can only get another type of vaccine after 2 weeks. And it goes both ways.
After
2 weeks. So it goes both ways. So if you get the anti-cervical cancer vaccine now, you can only
Mhm.
get the COVID vaccine after 2 weeks. That's the
Ah,
recommendation.
Uh-huh.
Parang it's just like the other vaccines then, ano?
Mhm.
Some say that it's after a month or a couple of months,
No,
but for
I think that's when you get, kasi di ba,
the flu shots, it's different.
marami naman yung COVID survivor eh. So
Yeah.
I think what you're saying is if you contracted the COVID virus, you can get the COVID vaccine up to ano. I'm not sure if it's it's not, but it's not 2 weeks. I'm not sure, but it's after the time.
2 weeks ba yung sinabi mo kanina, Doktora? Or
2
2 days?
weeks.
2 weeks if
2 weeks, it's not 2 days. 2 days yung
Not 2 days.
nag-flash.
2 weeks after
2
one
weeks!
vaccine after the other.
Ay,
Pero
flash
yung
na Rai. Baka may mali to.
the
Ayan,
COVID
2 weeks.
virus, different thing.
Oo.
2 weeks, 2 weeks.
Alam
And
mo,
then 2 weeks
Doktora.
after you can get the flu shot.
2 weeks din.
So let's
2 weeks.
okay.
2 weeks. Okay. Alam mo, Doktora, yeah, we've learned a lot from our discussion tonight. We really appreciate it. We actually have a lot of questions pa to ask na, but we unfortunately we have to cut it short. It's about 8. Ayaw naming mabawasan ng yung Netflix time while having dinner, no? Diba? Ano ba sinusubaybayan mo ngayon? Natapos mo na kasi yung yung
But there's
ano
one.
tawag
I'm waiting
doon?
for this. I'm waiting for this one. Sa June 15 eh.
Oh wow!
Kasi
Exactly.
I like kasi yung mga medieval times eh.
Ano yan, Doktora?
Oh.
Mga medieval times, mga king and queens. Yan, I'm a fan
Game
of
of
it.
Thrones?
What?
I think Game of Thrones. There's one eh. There's one na coming.
Ibig sabihin, napanood mo na, Doktora, Mary Queen of Scots.
Lahat.
Yeah, but-
Vikings, everything. Those are the things that I want.
No, it's a movie, Mary Queen of Scots. The other queen that got beheaded. Oh, wow. Yeah.
And the other, yan, napanood ko na siya.
Oo. Yan ang mga, hindi
I'm a fan
masyadong
of
tipo
ano.
ni Doktora yung mga Korean novela. That's why when we asked her kanina if she knows kung kanino napunta yung ginto ni Vincenzo, she doesn't
Hindi.
know. Yeah.
What
Shout
about
out kay Sir
Friends?
Edgardo Gatmaytan. Ha?
What about
Sir?
Friends, Doc Cookie? There will be a reunion on Friday.
Ay, napag-aaral tayo, attorney.
Not so much of a fan.
Napag-aaral
but,
tayo ira mo.
several
Yeah, I'm
episodes.
proud of it.
Anyway, Doctor, thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Thank you for inviting me also. I had a good time.
Go ahead, JD.
So thank you again for joining
Ay, yung
us
pre-practice
tonight.
natin, Doc, ha? Yung pre-practice natin. Ito na yung spill ni
Disclaimer pala, if you are diagnosed naman with cervical cancer vaccine, those who manages women with cervical cancer are gynecologic oncologists. We usually refer them to gynecologic oncologists.
Yes. Doctor, I just need to ask, no? Sabi ko kanina, it's alam mo, ngayon ko lang napagtanto na our topic tonight is a very sensitive topic. No? It's not often discussed in the family, in the school. Sometimes baka sa kaibigan mo lang kinikwento. No? Do you think it's something that has to be discussed sa isang family, openly discussed sa family? I mean, to promote awareness, diba? To lessen the chances of you getting this disease, diba? Is it something that, is it high time for us to have this discussed more openly sa pamilya or sa society?
I believe that information can save you, can help you not progress into let's say advanced disease. And even in the family itself, like I have girls, I have children, babae, lalaki, and I want them, I educate them. Because it's not just the women, even my I don't want to call him boy kasi matanda na siya. He's 20 already, and so I tell him to be safe. You know, I'm not encouraging him to engage in that. But
Hey son, get the vaccine.
yeah,
Just in case you have plans. Parang ganun ba? Hindi. Para
it's
you have an FB page.
now naman to the values that we instill in with our children.
Doctor, you have an FB page, di ba? Can
Yes,
you
I have an
share?
FB page. Well, there it's Dr. Cookie.
Mhm.
And I'm affiliated with several hospitals, but my main hospital is in Delgado Hospital in Metro Antipolo Medical Center, Hospital and Medical Center. So I'm there almost every day. So if you want to get my schedules, it's there in my page, Dr. Cookie.
Is that you? Yung nasa katabi nila, ano? The
Yeah.
Sir and guys? Yeah.
I guested in Salamat Doc, siguro before ABS-CBN was ano.
Okay.
Okay. So, thank you again, Doc Cookie, and thank you for those our viewers for joining us tonight for another relevant and timely episode of Life Matters. So, do take care, strictly follow health and safety protocols, and stay safe because
Life
Life matters.
matters. Good night.
Happy
Happy weekend.
weekend.
Good night.